Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. In today's episode, Lane Kiffin leaves Ole Miss for LSU. Wilbon's Bears run over the Eagles, and the Broncos barely beat the Commanders. But we begin today with yesterday's NFL action. There were two results that raised an eyebrow or two. One was the Carolina Panthers beating Los Angeles Rams 31-28, which opened the door to the number one seed in the NFC to your Bears, Wilbon. The other was the Houston Texans beating the Indianapolis Colts in Indy 20-16. Wilbon, which of these results was the bigger surprise?
Yeah, you know, neither of these was actually a surprise to me because in my pool.
You had them both.
Yeah. And
I'm stunned.
Carolina. It shocked you yesterday.
Yeah, no, stunned. That's stunned.
But it's still Carolina because even as I'm watching it and sort of cheering for it to happen, not that I hate the Rams, that's an upset. The Rams had won 6 in a row. They had gone into the week. They started the holiday weekend with everybody proclaiming they were the best team in football, if there was such a thing. Tony, I didn't think that about Houston and Indy. I thought that was a toss-up, a pick-em going into the day. But when you see Carolina, look, Carolina's done this a few times now. 5-1 after losses, which is the best record in the NFL.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Carolina.
Carolina.
You know, I had, look, I've been sleeping, as they say, on Carolina because I thought they stunk.
Most people have.
I've been sleeping, too, on their quarterback, Bryce Young, who I thought was too small for the league. He's not too small for the league.
How about those 2 fourth-down plays where he tosses touchdowns?
And the coach of that team clearly knows what he's doing. Did they run the ball? They ran the ball
like 40 times.
I don't know, 40 times. I don't know how they lost to the Saints, but they have now beaten Green Bay and the Rams. They are 7-6. They were 4-13 last year, 2-15 the year before. So much like New England, they've come out of nowhere. That is the biggest surprise. I could try to make the case on Houston beating Indianapolis in Indy, but you also have to say that Indianapolis has now lost 3 out of 4. Yeah. They appear to be fading, and Jonathan Taylor's not getting the chunk yards that he got before. He had, 85 yards on 21 carries, and Daniel Jones played on a broken leg, which is not ideal. It's not ideal in that situation. Houston has now won 4 in a row. 3 of them with a backup quarterback. So what happened yesterday is C.J. Stroud made a good team better. But yes, the answer is the Rams. As you know, I had Matthew Stafford as the MVP. He was 29 touchdowns, no interceptions in his most recent run.
At some point, both the streak, 6 in a row, and that crazy streak of touchdowns without interceptions,
29 and 0.
Gotta come to an end.
Twice in the first quarter?
Yeah.
What I'm saying to you is when that happens twice in the first quarter, and then there's that fumble late, that critical fumble late, that is shocking to me. I expected them to win. Expected.
Nobody in this league this year is so good that we just presume correctly that they just keep winning.
No.
Right?
No.
Which
there's either no great team or there's 15 good ones.
Scare me about my situation pretty soon.
Yeah.
Let's move from Sunday's surprises to those from the extended holiday weekend. Dak threw for 320 yards.
Give him his money.
As the Cowboys topped the Chiefs. The Bengals' last-place defense forced the Ravens into 5 turnovers as Cincinnati beat Baltimore in Joe Burrow's return. And the Bears ran over and through the heavily booed and heavily favored Eagles. Maybe it was heavily favored and heavily booed. Tony, which of these results most surprised you?
So the biggest surprise is that the Bears, at the moment, are the number 1 seed in the NFC. Nobody saw this coming, especially you, who said before the season we could start out 0-5. Yeah. Beating the Eagles is impressive. Running on them is impressive. But, you know, there's something wrong with the Eagles right now. They have no offense.
No, they don't.
Saquon Barkley, they are not. So the reason that is not the biggest surprise is because the Bears are 9-3. I mean, you cannot just automatically assume that they're not going to win that game. A bigger surprise is Cincinnati beating Baltimore. Joe Burrow essentially came out of a hospital bed and beat this team.
He practiced.
He threw the ball 46 times. He had 2 touchdowns rather. On the other side, Lamar Jackson in the last 3 games has no touchdown passes. He has 3 interceptions. He has 2 fumbles lost, and he's been sacked 8 times. Weeks ago, you said on this air you thought he had lost a step. Yep. In the interim, he seems to have lost another step.
Yep.
But the biggest surprise is the Dallas Cowboys. Let's be honest about that. No,
they were proclaimed by every show on this network.
In the span of 5 days, they now beat the 2 teams that were in the Super Bowl last year, the Eagles and the Chiefs. And Mike, they may have knocked the Chiefs out of the playoffs.
Well, we're going to see more about the Chiefs even more. I mean, the game's coming up this weekend, but that's a few days away. Let me go back to this weekend. Tony, it was the Bears. Because I've lived with this intimately. Nobody thought the Bears were any damn good.
At the beginning of the year?
No, nobody thought this week.
Oh,
because if you listen to all the shows coming out of the previous Sunday into Monday, they all people proclaimed Hall of Famers. People with gold jackets sat and said
8-3
the
team.
Bears aren't any good.
Going into this game, they were 8-3.
Every one of those games was by a hangnail, something that shouldn't have happened.
That's what Kansas City did last year when they were 11-0. They were 11-0 in one-score game.
They were against teams that were threats. The Bears have beaten some last place
You're just
teams.
promoting the Bears because they're your team.
Look. I'm scared about this whole thing.
Of course you are.
Because it seems like it was
scared
just
they're going
paper.
into Green Bay. You're scared.
They went into Philly and kicked
They did.
their
Yeah, they did.
what.
They did.
And that was good. So I don't want to hear about Philly's offense. We ran through Philly's defense.
I just want to talk about Dallas for a second. I think you give them short shrift. When Jerry Jones dumped Micah Parsons, everybody in the world said they won't win another game. He has destroyed the team. You, among others, and everybody said it. Well, Jerry traded for a couple of defenders, too.
He did.
And now their defense, while not great, is adequate. And their offense is more than adequate because Dak Prescott throwing to C.D. Lamb and George Pickens, that's a threat every place on the field. What if they beat Detroit this week? What if they go through those three teams in a row? What would you think then?
I'll be shocked. They would threaten the Eagles for the division, and I'd be shocked at that. Let me just start saying stuff now, since every other network show just sits around proclaiming crazy stuff all week long, usually starting on Monday. Let me proclaim something. The Detroit Lions are going to stuff your Dallas Cowboys.
Not my Dallas
you're
Cowboys.
cheering for them.
Not cheering for them.
You think they can go?
I'm asking you to consider what they have done lately. What they have done
that
lately.
5-day stretch was tremendous. Thursday night in Detroit, beat that.
Let's move to the biggest story in college football this past weekend. Lane Kiffin jumping from Ole Miss to conference rival LSU. Ole Miss is 11-1 and surely headed for the college playoffs. Ole Miss has barred Kiffin from coaching this team in the playoffs, even though Kiffin publicly said he wants to. Ole Miss has said, tell it walking, pal. Wilbon, what do you make of everyone's decisions here?
Lane Kiffin has every right to go to LSU or wherever he wants to work. And Mississippi had better say, get the hell out. This is an acrimonious divorce. Get out. You are not going to spend the next 6 weeks, if you go that far, because you can win in the playoffs.
That's right.
Splitting your time, your emotions, your devotion, and your loyalty between LSU and Mississippi. Because anybody who thinks that LSU's people, their football program, is going to go on hiatus to Cancun for the next 6 weeks waiting for Lane Kiffin is a fool.
That's right.
Lane Kiffin's loyalties this second forward are to LSU. Get out of Oxford.
So this is what I love about the show, because we're going to have a real disagreement here, and I'm going to take some time here. I'm in the minority. I believe that he should coach this team in the playoffs. I believe that. I believe that Ole Miss should look short-term, and I think they're looking long-term. I understand why they hate him. I understand why they don't want him on campus. He didn't just leave for another school. He left for another school across the street.
Yes.
Across the street. So I understand that they hate him with the ardor of 1,000 suns. All right? I understand being afraid of Lane Kiffin stealing your players, which he will do.
Yes.
Stealing your coaches, which he will do.
During the week,
yes.
while they're supposed to be prepping for a playoff game.
I understand that. And Lane Kiffin basically said to Mississippi, I wouldn't stay here for all the money in the world. That's
they were going to
he
give him
said.
all the money, yeah.
But they are in the playoffs for the first time. They haven't won anything in like 60 years. One of the reasons they're in the playoffs is because Lane Kiffin coached them into the playoffs.
He's a great coach.
I believe their best chance to win is with Lane Kiffin, and I believe this other guy, if and when he loses, because I don't think he's Steve Fisher. I don't think it's the same.
I was going to say,
I don't think
you're on record having praised Bo Schembechler to the heavens
because
to telling.
I don't think Bill Frieder is Lane Kiffin. I think Lane Kiffin is a better coach than that. And I think if this guy loses, it's going to be the greatest regret in Mississippi's career. Everybody in that administration. So, yes, I'm in the minority, but I would let him coach.
Not only would I not let him coach, I would have run him out straight from the press conference. This is Lane Kiffin's move. Let me say two things. More than one thing can be true. Lane Kiffin has developed, matured into, become a great college football coach.
He is right
He's
now.
also a louse.
Okay.
Okay?
That's you.
No.
No.
Lane Kiffin is that.
Okay.
Because he's done this. He's a serial leaver. That's what he does. The greatest coach in college football history, probably. Okay? A guy at Alabama. He threw Lane Kiffin out with a week to go before a playoff game. What does that tell you?
Here's the only other thing that is irksome to me in this.
He's a louse.
I would not, well, that's your opinion. I would not, I don't know. I would not have picked LSU over Florida, not me. Because LSU has a history of firing national champion coaches.
You know who's in the playoff right now?
Right, Les Miles?
Mississippi's in the playoff. He's leaving to go to a place
that's not in the playoffs, yeah.
It isn't in the playoffs.
And also the governor is involved. It seems somewhat dicey to me, but I have a different opinion about Lane Kiffin, and obviously
wait. You don't disagree with me about how great a coach he is?
No, I like that part. I don't know him personally. Let's take a break. When we come back, the Broncos gained a win last night, but did they lose some of our confidence?
And some Steelers fans have seen enough. What could that mean for Mike Tomlin?
Would you want Lane Kiffin?
Part of Happy Hour.
It's time to find out what the emailers dragged in. I will get the first one, and I need glasses because this print is very small.
The first one is?
Do you have more or less confidence in the Broncos as a #1 seed after they edged the Commanders in overtime?
More. If we're talking about complimentary football, they're in the top 5 in all the defensive categories that matter. And they've got a really good offense. And I don't have the questions about Bo Nix that others seem to openly have. I don't get why people are still finding something to be critical when it comes to Bo Nix. And so last night they played a tough game. It was an overtime game on the road in Washington. No, this does not diminish what I think of the Broncos. They went on the road. They came up with a clutch play to prevent losing that nice batted ball. They're a team that is on a historic pace for sacks allowed. They got a really fine defense in every way imaginable.
Yeah.
What do they want?
So let me first say that I really loved the ending of that game. And it seemed to me that Washington had about 2 or 3 touchdowns called back because of penalties. Yeah. So big ups to Marcus Mariota for hanging in there. And of course they went for 2 because they're 3-8 at that point. What is 3-8-1? Sure. What does that do? So of course they go for 2. As to this particular question, I'm going to echo something that you have said for a couple of weeks. I lose a little bit of confidence in every team every week because every team that we think is good seems to lose. As soon as we say they are good, they lose. So I lose a little bit of confidence. Why I retain confidence in the Broncos is because they play this way every week. They have been behind in every single game.
Pointed that out last night.
And they've won 10 of them.
Yeah.
So they know how to play these sorts of games.
They do.
It's not, you don't have to go out and beat somebody by 30. You got to beat them by 3. That's the important.
If we're doing the Anthony I. Kornheiser power rankings right now in the AFC, do you have Denver #1?
I'm waiting to see New England play a good team.
Okay, well,
no, not tonight.
Not
tonight. No, not tonight. I'm waiting to see that.
All right, let's see what we got going on here. What's your reaction to Steelers fans chanting, "Fire Tomlin," during the Steelers' home loss to the Bills?
So my reaction is that is pretty much what fans do. Fans do not look backwards into the glory years. Fans look at the moment, and at the moment, the Steelers are actually pretty lousy. They allowed unbelievable numbers here. Buffalo, 51 carries, 249 yards. Yikes.